Hi everyone, I hope you're well. I'm really happy to be back with this new video, and I'm going to be talking about this eclipse season that has just begun today on April 30th, and it will last for about 6 months, so it will end on the 25th of October with a partial solar eclipse in Scorpio, and today is a partial solar eclipse in Taurus. And the other eclipses that we are going to have are going to be total lunar eclipses. The first one is going to be on May 16th, it's going to be in the sign of Scorpio, and the last one is going to be on November 8th in the sign of Taurus. So we can see that these eclipses really happen in this Taurus-Scorpio axis, and I will say a word about that in a moment. I'm also going to be talking about the global energies that we are feeling right now, and why these eclipses are important, why eclipse season is so important during the year, because they represent really great periods of great changes and shifts. And they are also like big portals. So the opening door for this portal is today, and the closing door will be on October 25th. So it's going to be lasting, this energy is going to last on, will expand and last for 6 months. So it's really interesting to work with these energies and to understand these energies and understand what are the opportunities that present themselves to us. So the sign of Taurus really talks about security, material security, because Taurus is always looking for this inner security, and of course it also talks about financial resources. It can talk about also values, the values we have in life, the value we have for ourselves, the value of things in general, and also on what we wish to invest on. So it might be financial, but it also can be just, where do we put our energy into? So it's really a time where maybe these known foundations that we are so used to are going to be a bit shattered, because there's also this opposite energy of Scorpio that comes into the play. And Scorpio is all about transformation. It's really the molt of the serpent. It's really going from one state to another. So it really talks about leaving, the old skin, so shedding our old skin and leaving it behind. That represents really the old self. So we can really make this kind of step forward into the new self, which is a self that is going to be much more aligned and connected with our soul, and which is going to open a lot of doors for us for the future. So also eclipses, they often talk about abrupt ends and new beginnings, and also they always put a spotlight on the shadow, and that's also something that we can say about Scorpio. So that's like the double energy there. And so we will see in the coming months a lot of spotlights put on really certain aspects of the collective shadow. We will see a lot of celebrities also being, in the spotlight and kind of, seeing what they're all about, maybe their hidden selves or their shadow self that is revealed. I'm talking about celebrities, but also maybe influential people, And of course it talks about our own shadow. Maybe some spotlights will be set on certain aspects that we still need to explore. So why is this really a turning point right now that we are going through? I know that globally there might be, things that tell us the opposite, that things are constantly repeating themselves. And I just wanted to say a word about the last French elections. As you know, I live in France, and what happened there was the exact repetition of the previous elections, and also the exact almost repetition of what happened during the elections in the US. So as you might know, the person that was elected is actually one of the most hated person in the country. So we might really ask ourselves, how is this possible? How did this person be elected again? And this tells us there's, of course, a lot of hidden things that we are not told, and maybe a lot of manipulation. What's quite sad to watch right now is that French people are really pointing fingers at each other. They're being quite hateful towards each other because they're looking for someone who is guilty, someone to blame concerning what happened. And maybe they don't understand that actually the dice are loaded from the beginning. And this whole, thing around democracy that we are, talking about all the time, maybe doesn't even exist. So this is really a question that I have for you, is that do you think that democracy actually exists on this planet, or do you think that everything is rigged from the start? So what it really tells us, and this is also what happens, in other countries, it's not only France, of course, it's going to repeat itself maybe in other countries, is that we cannot expect the system to change from within. The system is not going to change from within. The system is really in this kind of self-destructive mode, and it will continue that way until it disappears completely. What will emerge from that is what we start building outside of the system. So it's really important to really realize that we should not wait for anything within the system to change. We should not wait for any savior that is outside of ourselves, because I also saw that a lot of people are still looking for that. The only savior that truly exists is the one that we have within. So this doesn't mean that there aren't, people who are working for the light out there. As I have spoken in previous videos, there are, in the military, for example. But we should not wait for them to save us, because that's not aligned with our true selves, it's not aligned with our true power. And we really need to find that inner sovereignty to actually take action and to save ourselves. So, in a concrete way, that means that we should really start building anything that's outside of the system. Maybe we should also start leaving cities. That's also a message that comes really strongly, because the system really is very anchored in cities, and it's going to be more difficult to actually change things from, within a city. And there are actually really amazing things starting to be built in the countryside. I can truly, testify on that. And so really, if we feel like it, if we feel the call, if we are able to, it's really a good idea to start going back also to nature, which is really more grounding and more supportive than any city could be. What I also mentioned in my last video is that we have this really, really strong Christ energy that is present this year, and maybe it hasn't been present, so strongly before. And this also means that there is the other extreme, the other energy, the opposite energy that is also present, which is, we might call it the Antichrist, which is not Satan, but I would say more like the people who serve that entity and who use their power in that way. And we also need to remind ourselves that there are two main timelines right now. There is the ascension timeline and there is the descension timeline. So of course the descension timeline is going to continue to descend, and it will eventually crash, whereas the ascension timeline is going to continue to elevate itself. So what is currently happening with the energies right now, it's really this turning point. Despite what it might seem, and again, we really need to have a look at things on a different level. And I can really tell you that I can feel that there is this potentially this new coming in that is very strong. And I think that the months ahead of us are going to be really interesting, especially the month of May, because the eclipse happens today, and it's going to open a door on a lot of flow of information out there that's going to come up. And maybe you are also aware what is happening currently with Twitter, and that's really going to help this flow of information to come out. So really, we should see this as something really positive. And I know that a lot of people out there sometimes criticize people who are too positive and saying, how can you say that? Everything's going wrong in this world, everything is negative. And again, it's, what timeline are you connecting to? Where are you putting your attention and your energy into? Are you putting it in a timeline that is crashing, or are you putting it in a timeline that is ascending and elevating itself, and will elevate all of us in the end. And maybe you know this famous quote, and those who danced were considered crazy by those who didn't hear the music. So again, this really talks about trying to have a different perspective on things and trying to really pierce the veils of reality and perceive energetically what is happening on Earth. Of course, I know that a lot of people don't know where to start. They don't know how to create a new life. They don't know how to step out of the system. There are also always external factors, you know, like finances, etc., that come into play. So I just wanted to share my own experience, and what life actually taught me is that I could only rely on myself, and I was the only master of my own kingdom. I was the one that was sovereign in my kingdom. And you know, despite the fact that at certain periods in my life I didn't have the money, I didn't have the support I wanted from people around me, and you know, nevertheless, I just kept going, and I kept putting my energy to actually create the real life that I wanted to live. And today I can say that I am living the life that I always wanted to live, and I'm the only one responsible for that. So this is really to tell you that you can do it too. Anyone can create the life that they truly want. And all we need to do is, and this is really, like, let's say the final message of this video, is really to continue to believe in our dreams. That's so important right now. Not only believe and really have total faith in our dreams, but also to start taking action on those dreams and not wait 1 month, 2 months, or the end of the year to start that. Just to start today. What can I do today to go in the direction that I truly want for myself? So that's really important, and all the rest, all that is happening externally is only a distraction from that. It's only distracting you from your true sovereign being that is only waiting to create the life they always wanted to create. Sat Nam. See you soon.